Lisa Ann McCall, physical therapist, lover of movement. Today we're going to talk about a very, very popular concept, and that is to pull your stomach in, tuck your tummy in, drop your tailbone. What else is there? Tuck your tailbone. They're all the same in my world, but they will tell you they're different. So there's plenty of information out there on the internet that will support, finally, yay, support the concept that tucking and sucking your stomach in is really not healthy. It blocks your ability to use your diaphragm. It doesn't allow your pelvic floor to function well. But there's so much more to this philosophy that revolves around my ribs to my hips. This area has been taught so many different ways of what's healthy. So I became a physical therapist in 1988. Well, my physical therapy professors were quite a bit older than me, and they worked on polio patients. So you can imagine I've been exposed to the ideas since the 40s and the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, 2000. So even though I may be 65 and I've been 30 years a physical therapist, I've been exposed to the concepts much broader than that. Actually kind of the birth, not the birth, but the pretty much when physical therapy became popular. So there have been so many different ways people have tried to, quote, fix the back, protect the back, get rid of back pain, protect the back. I mean, the phrases go on and on. So today, you're going to hear again from me, the woman who looks at bones, not muscles. Structure governs function. Bones have muscles on them, and when I move my bones right, my muscles move. So I am a person who has integrated a concept of studying people from ethnic societies, people that bend and carry their children on the back, people who walk, ooh, I gotta get that right, John. I don't want that light. And they walk and carry things on their head. Ooh, nice. So what do they know that we don't know? They know how to move, and they move well, and they don't break down as they age. They have a very intelligent way of moving. And all I did as a physical therapist was stumble into this from my teacher to her teacher, and I got the basic idea, and I began to fill it with my physical therapy practice. And then 30 years later, I have created a type of physical therapy that is based on the fundamentals of movement. So I don't think about lumbar tightness. I don't think about tuck and suck and all that. I think about how are the bones stacked? Because if we stack the bones well, we can carry heavy weight. And if we can carry heavy weight and bend well, we're going to be okay. It's just kind of stunning, but the body's super smart. So today, I'm going to give you a little bit of a lesson in the fact that this is your pelvis right here, this big thing, 2 hip bones, and down here is your crotch or your pubic bone. So the back part of that pubic bones, when they come together, the back part are the sit bones you've heard a lot. And then the front part is where I like people to think that they're really more weight bearing across those bones. Not on you're not tucking and putting a lot of weight on the end of the bone. You want to put as much weight through the bone. That's the way the whole body is. So in the low back, there's a vertebra, the L5, you'll have a sacrum, which is your triangle bone. Then you have L5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ooh, this guy's out of alignment. And then you go all the way up. Well, there's this vertebra, L5, that is shaped and wedges different in the spine. It wedges between your sacrum and your lumbar four. And it's the coolest thing because when it's sitting right, it just locks beautifully. And the lumbar spine just locks in place. And I can bend over with that vertebra locked right and put a ton of weight on my back, and I just feel great. I don't feel anything in my back. If anything, I feel the muscles in my butt and legs working. So, my world is about structure and function. But what I'm noticing, people will say, oh, you need to drop your tailbone, lift your knee, drop your tailbone. They say this in Tai Chi. You don't need to get rid of your curve in your back. That's like if I have low back pain, then I need to look at the whole structure and system and see how it's all related. I mean, I could have tension here, but to say I have tension here and not address here and here and here is to not look at the design. That's like if I have a crack in my wall, I don't focus on the crack. I go, what's going on in my foundation? Is something going on in the roof? Is it something going down in the foundation? Are the sides of my home, are they right? I don't look at the crack. The crack is a result of the rest of my structure, of my home. I love structure because that's what I do for a living. I'm fascinated how all these joints have a relationship to each other, and they're not complicated. I mean, they're complicated if you and I just were to sit down and have a cup of tea and talk about it, if we intellectualize it, but it's not complicated because guess what? When you were born, you had this natural little arch, and everything was fine. And then for some reason you become an adult and you're supposed to drop your tailbone, whatever that means. I mean, if you want to drop your tailbone, I just digressed, then you're going to need to get your whole pelvis to drop. So dropping is down, right? Let's just do this for a minute. Dropping is a downward motion. If I bring my leg up, my tailbone is going to go under because it's shaped to do that. So as kids, we move just fine. We are moving fine. So why as adults do we need to fix this? Well, if we need to fix it, it's because the whole structure is not moving as it's designed. So let's play with this just a little. I am not saying that you'll never tuck or drop or whatever you want to call that. Many belly dancers do this movement, back and forth, back and forth. You can do all those kind of movements. I can do it in forward roll. You may do it when you're about to fight in Kung Fu or in martial arts. It's a movement. It's a dynamic movement. It's not a movement I hold and then I move around in that space. No. That's saying I know more about the structure, what it needs to do than it does. No, I just live in this body positioned this way, which we're going to practice. And then I go out in the world and I add more complex movements on it, and it works really, really well. Okay? So a good analogy is the sports stance a lot of people talk about. You'll see basketball players get with their hips back and shoot. You'll see tennis players get back and hit. You'll see all sorts of people get in a bit of this position. It's just a general idea for you to see. So why do we think we need to be dropping this or tucking this? It makes no sense in the big picture of your structure balancing with gravity. If I need to protect my back, it's only if somebody's going to hit my back, a force outside. Gravity, me, no need to protect my back. No. So the problems that people have with low back pain from a structural point of view are often due to the upper body and lower body just not doing their natural movement. So let's practice a movement that can bring us into more alignment. Let's do sitting. I do sitting a lot with you, so why not continue so you get better at it? Because the better you get at it, it'll affect all areas of your life. Now this bowl here, I use this as an illustration of my pelvis. So this is a round thing, and then the bottom of the bowl is the bottom of my pelvis, and my organs sit in there, right? And I can breathe, and my diaphragm can drop. So here's my belly, and this is, this is just a bowl to illustrate this. So I want you to think that you're sitting in a bowl. All right? So if I place my fingers on my spine and I find that natural arch, and if I don't have a natural arch and my back is too flat, stick your butt out and relax your belly. You'll feel better. So I'm going to just set my feet up quickly. I don't want to go into a lot of detail, but I don't have them excessively turned out or turned in. And then I place my fingers on my spine. Now, what you need to know is if you tend to be knock-kneed, this isn't going to work. So you do really need to think that you're kind of on a little horse, riding on a horse, and you're a little bow-legged. So you've got to turn those thigh bones out a little. And then you literally take your buttocks back and up, and you keep your back really straight. You can kind of imagine and picture how she is bending with such a strong, straight spine with her child on the back. Then I go over and then I sit on the front part of the chair, on the front part of my pubic bone. And I have a pillow here because it elevates my butt. And I don't need as much elevation as most people because I've been doing this for years. But I highly recommend you do that because you do have tightness somewhere in the back side of your body that needs to be able to relax. So right now I have an arch in my back and I have a relaxed belly and life is good. It's great. I'm sitting upright. I don't have to work at it. Now, let me show you how smart the body is. Sitting, I'm doing nothing, just being upright. I could press up with my beanie baby I didn't bring in here, but I could press up as if I have something on my head. Now, I press up because I want to get my upper body to think upright. We tend to slump a lot. So let's just play like we got something on our head and breathe and relax the chest. Now, I'm going to bend forward a little from my hip. I'm going to roll forward. When I roll forward, my back is working. That's pretty obvious, right? It is. If I roll a little backwards, what's working? My belly's working. My abs. Forward, back is working. Back, abs are working. Forward, back. Forward, back. All day long, working at my desk, getting back, leaning over here. All day long, I'm standing in the kitchen. No matter what I'm doing, I'm always using the appropriate muscle groups because I have stacked my bones more in line and I can trust my body to do what it's supposed to. A top tennis player does not think about when they serve and it going so fast, so far, exactly what they want. They have practiced that movement and the details through every part of their body is involved in that movement. So every human movement is got to have a foundation so that it can build on more complex movements and not have to be in pain. It's just, it also opens up another world of confidence and comfort and beauty, and also you're just more attractive. All these things are just part of the package. So stop thinking about fixing the outside, start thinking about what can I do to relax and stack my bones and trust it knows what to do. Questions? See, 15 minutes. Did it right on time.
This came early, so you might have answered it. This is from Carla in Flagstaff. Structure governs function. I have no clue.
Okay, my structure is my bones. Okay, bones, my arm bones, okay, my rib bones. Function is what I do. So if I want to bend my arm, if I want to scratch my eye, if I want to lift a weight, I get the weight, put it in my hand, the structure, the three bones come together, and that is the function. The function is the movement. I function this way. The structure is doing it. Forget about muscles. They're going to do it. They're going to do the right thing. Think about relaxing muscles. But structure is going to be what decides whether I move well. Move well is function well. Function is movement. Function well, move well. Bones. I focus on structure, my bones.
Dennis in Indianapolis says, I don't get it. Weight through the pelvic bone.
Okay. So, here's an example of, many people know about this. Okay, so if I stand, I'm putting my hands on my hips so you can see the movement. If I stand with my hips forward and I got my arms crossed, okay? My weight that is bearing down through my body is more in the front, which of my hips. That should be pretty obvious. Like, I got my hips forward, so I am carrying my upper body, this weight, through my hips in the front. Okay? Well, that's also, there are ligaments here that connect to muscles, and a lot of weight is being asked of those ligaments to hold me upright. So I'm holding myself upright with a lot of ligament strain, or whatever you want to call it, by standing this way. When I put weight through the pelvis the way I'm talking about, the bottom of this bowl is holding the weight of whatever I put in there, right? I don't have it on the side. That would be like on the side. This would be more right. So I put the weight in the bowl, okay? So I need the bowl in the right position. Your pubic bone, where the two big bones come together down here, your crotch, the more that the weight is distributed evenly across there, I could carry a ton of stuff on my head. I could carry so much in this bowl. It's just an analogy. But if I tip this bowl like this, or like this, you know, any excessive tipping of my pelvis, I'm going to be using what's called a lot of soft tissue to hold me up. That could be ligaments, that could be tendons and muscles. It'll wear you out. It's not your design. You're designed to put weight in your feet, in your leg bones, and in your pelvis, and in your spine, and move forward with much less effort and strain. That's what the pelvis piece is, weight bearing.
Bill V in Tucson says, okay, you ask for a longer, straighter spine when longer, straighter spine is not stronger than a curved one?
No, you have a small curve in the base of your spine because that's just the way the spine is designed, and those vertebrae lock in really well together, okay? And then as that low back spine, all right, I have a little curve. It's the way it's designed, and those vertebrae stack and they lock. And then as you go up the spine, the straighter it is, it's straight so that the weight can distribute through it. But there is a very special design at the lumbar area, the low back, where your sacrum is that triangle bone, meets the first vertebra down there, L5, and it's slanted a little because it fits really good, and then L4 comes up right from there. And when I say it fits, this is going to get a little complicated. It's because the back of these bones have these things called facets, and the vertebra above it and below it meet and connect, and they put they're designed to just be right next to each other, and to do that and have it done just right so that each facet is sitting correctly on the one above it, above and below. You must have a lumbar curve at L5 because the shape of the spine. It's like the shoulder and the shoulder blade. It's a strange little thing, right? Shoulders are designed for you to be able to use your hands and arms. They're not stuck in here with a lot of bone around it because it's not designed for so much stability as it is for mobility. Okay? This is designed for stability, stable. Walk in, throw weight on your back, and go. So different joints have different jobs, and you can tell because some have more movement and less bone and muscle around them, and some have more muscle and bone to put there to keep them tight, safe, and ready to go.
Christy in Lakewood, Colorado says, I'm confused. You want the spine to be long and straight when you're bending, but not when we're standing up straight.
Yeah, I always want the same thing, so I'm not being clear. And this is a little confusing. I want this straight with a little arch in the back, standing, bending, walking, turning. Stays the same. So there is a natural curve in the thoracic area, that's your mid-back, but these natural curves are pretty quiet. The one curve that's a little bit obvious, I would like to say, is the low back one. So when I stand, I'm straight with a low back curve. When I sit, I'm straight with a low back curve. When I bend, I'm straight with that little curve. Curve, straight, goes everywhere. Everywhere.
John here in Flagstaff asks, then why have we heard all of our lives that we shouldn't bend over and pick up weight without the danger of hurting ourselves?
Okay, so what I have discovered over many years is that we base movement based on fear, that the body will break. I was taught, medicine pretty much teaches you that it's going to break down, not that it's healthy, in general. It's just a general premise. And what I discovered over the years is, no, it doesn't break down unless we're doing something wrong. And I was trained to always fix the body, but I never was taught that the body was really smart, and that if it's breaking down, there's probably something, just like the foundation in my house, something's not right, and it's not, it just needs to be addressed within the structure itself. So it became, as we became more modern society, cars, machines, now we have electronics, we move less, and we rely on our intellect to teach us and tell us what is right and wrong about movement. It's a mess. I've been in this business so long, I'm just waiting for the next fashion fitness concept. It happens over and over again. But one thing that doesn't change is that when you're born and you're moving, you bend from the hips. You lift from the hips. And these people in other countries that live off the land and are physically intelligent, physical intelligence means that I can do movements all day and not break down. That's what I mean by intelligence. They're not squatting to lift, they're bending to lift. So they never changed the way they move from childhood to adulthood because their life depended on it. Your life and my life depend on this. And so we intellectualize what's right, what's wrong, what's good, what's bad. And if you'll just practice this, don't believe me, go onto my website, get a beginner series, and just mess with this stuff. Email me. You're going to find out what works. I am not here to convince you of a different theory. I'm here to introduce you to the intelligence you already have in your body. So don't buy into what I say. Practice it, try it, play with it, find your arch, relax your belly, bend, sit on the front of your crotch, get up and down like that about 100 times. You'll feel different, and it will be a good different. Thank you.
Ed, in Flagstaff says, I don't know what you mean by fashion fitness and how that alters our structure.
Fashion fitness is just a phrase. I don't know where I got it from. Maybe I made it up. It has to do with the fact that people are aesthetically driven so hard that they do workouts in a way that they try to manipulate their body to look a certain way. And so instead of thinking possibly if I just move well, if I just move correctly meaning more naturally, then my body will look good. So it's the working from the inside out versus the outside in. The outside in is fashion fitness. I'm going to look a certain way because I'm going to pull this in and pull this up and tighten this and lift the weights this way because I want to lift weights this way and this way and this way so I can get this, I can get that, I can get this. And that's all fashion fitness. It's manipulation of your muscle groups. So what? Great. It's not going to last and it won't feel good. Relax, trust the structure, let the muscles work. Trusting the structure means stacking well. So if this interests you at all, email me. Just say, I kind of think maybe you can look at my book, McCall Body Balance Method, Simple Concepts for Ageless Movement. You can take a beginner series off my website, but it's not hard for you to dig into this a little and find out maybe there's something here. Maybe there's something here. It's a different perspective, people. If you've been looking a certain way and I'm asking you to look over here, it's going to be weird, but it's just a different perspective. Okay, that's it. See you next week. Don't forget, subscribe, like, share, email me. McCallmethod.com. There you go.